Yo, you heard about these Nintendo Switch 2 leaks? So, since filming that, Nintendo has dropped the official Switch 2 announcement trailer, so we're going to actually take a look at that instead of the leaks. They got a bigger screen and controllers, they got a kickstand that's bigger and looks more stable and more flexible, as compared to like the old kickstand, which is just like this little thing here, this little... That's all they used to have. The controllers clip on instead of slide in and out, and they also look like they can be used like a mouse. They can slide around a table, which honestly I'm not actually sure how that would work because I've never played my Switch in a situation where I'm sitting at a table, I guess. So, where do you slide them? Do you slide it like on your legs when you're sitting down, or like on your hands? Let me know if you have an idea of that. If I'm missing something very obvious, and I will feel stupid after reading the comments, probably. Also on the trailer, they showed a new Mario Kart. So this will be the first new Mario Kart game in, I think, a decade. I don't think there was ever an actual Mario Kart that was released on the Switch, so that's big news. It also looks like you'll be able to race with 24 players at a time. They said that the Switch 2 is also backwards compatible, so you'll be able to play both physical and digital copies of your games on the Switch 2. They didn't give a date for release, they just said it's 2025, but they did say there's going to be like a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd. And following that, there'll be trials for the Switch 2 in Dallas, New York, and LA. You can register for that today at 3 p.m. online on Nintendo's website, if you're interested. I think it's also worth noting that it's called the Switch 2, and this is the first time that Nintendo's ever followed this kind of naming convention. It's usually a different console entirely, or like the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color to Advance. They've never done like a 1-2, so this is the first consecutive same console that people are going to be getting from Nintendo. And some people are mad about this. They're like, we want a new console. I think most people that play Switch at all are excited because it's what they wanted. It's just a more powerful Nintendo Switch, which, I mean, like, no, you don't hear anyone complaining about a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 3, which is just a PlayStation that's more powerful. So because there was a leak that accurately predicted the day of the announcement trailer, I thought, and I usually don't talk about leaks, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the leaks that are coming out about the Switch 2, just because we've got such an accurate one. One, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are supposed to be ported to the Switch, first in 2025, then in 2026, which, if that's the case, then the Switch 2 must have a giant leap in hardware, which is awesome. That's exciting. That's cool. The second, they said Halo is coming to the Switch 2. I mean, come on, Halo? That's funny. They said the Switch 2 is going to end world hunger, which is great. They'll have updated internals for the Switch 2 as well. So, I mean, it'll obviously need it if the rest of these rumors are going to be true, because some people are even saying that maybe Elden Ring or Cyberpunk 2077 or some of these more taxing games will come to the will come to the Switch 2. And that's impressive, because right now my current Switch, this thing is not even playing Mario and Luigi Brothership to very high qualities. I'm having issues playing games like that. So, you know, if it's going to be able to play Elden Ring or Final Fantasy, that's going to be huge. Definitely something to look out for. I'm excited for them to officially announce the internals of the Switch 2. But that's what we got for the Switch 2 so far, confirmed and leaked, and my thoughts on it. But back to your originally scheduled programming. On to you, Terrence. How do you feel about lag? Okay. Well, I got some good news for you. Lag could be a thing of the past depending on how Sony moves forward with this new AI patent. See, Sony thinks that they can solve the problem of lag in general, and they've just patented a technology that could do so. Let me explain how it works. It's a little complicated. And you can see in figure 2, I actually don't know what this figure shows, but look at this guy's face. In any case, it actually works like this. Me and my friend used to go to a coffee shop every day after school just to hang out, but we didn't have any money, so we'd always walk in and order the regular water. And so, you know, we'd walk in and say, "Hey, Mike, we'll take the regular." We do that every day. "Hey, Mike, we'll take the regular. Hey, Mike, we'll take the regular." But after like a couple weeks, maybe a month or so, we'd walk in. As soon as they saw us, they would immediately start preparing water for us. So by the time we got to the front, we ordered the regular, they would just hand it to us. There would be no delay. So 99% of the time, they got us our order faster because they knew that we were going to order it. But hypothetically, let's say I walk in and I order something different. I order coffee. That's what they serve at coffee shops. I ordered a coffee. Now they do have to make the coffee, but it would take a normal amount of time. And that's how Sony's technology works as well, except using AI. Essentially, they're saying they might have a camera on your hands during gameplay, or they would monitor button presses or whatever. I'm not sure exactly the technical stuff about how AI works. They would use AI to guess what a player's next move is, the same way that the barista would guess our order, and they'll prepare that move on a cloud server. So when you make that move, it'll render much more seamlessly. If you make a different move, it'll scrap that preparation and just move on to rendering whatever you did. I'm not a huge online gamer, but there is a huge quality of life improvement that I would have if lag was removed. You see, I have this one brother, and whenever he loses in a game, he says it's lag. And if there's no more lag, there's no more excuses. I beat you in Halo. Take that, Jonathan. Up next, we got a story about the hidden benefit of video games. Did you know that video games can prevent cancer? It's true. Last week, a bunch of gamers got together and they played games in a particularly fast fashion. Some call it speed running. But in doing so, they raised $2.5 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So yes, playing video games can help prevent cancer. You might have heard of the organization Games Done Quick, but if you haven't, they host video game marathons with high-level speedrunners. And all the proceeds from their events go to charity. And to this day, they've raised $50 million. Gamers did that. I didn't get to watch the speedruns live because Thailand time, but there are 3 speedruns that I really enjoyed. The first being Unicorn Overlord. It was really fast. It was like 25 minutes or something like that, but that's not why I wanted to talk about it. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's an underrated game from last year that I loved. My top 10 games for sure. I loved Unicorn Overlord, so if you're into that game, check that out. The second speed run I want to talk about is this. They did this Super Mario Brothers run where they had 4 people competing simultaneously to run Super Mario Brothers on original hardware. And they built this technology so you could see them all running at the same time. And it was like a race, and it was fun because you could see people like 1 frame behind or 2 frames behind, or when someone died, it was a big deal. So that was also a super fun one to watch. And the last one that I want to point out, I don't typically watch people with all controllers play, so this was like a treat for me. Somebody beating the Elden Ring bosses. I think he tried to go hitless, but I think he got hit on Melania, but he was playing with an electronic saxophone. So that was funny too. I think he's called like Dr. Doot or something like that.
Amazing. Can we get some love for Doot? Phase 1, nice and clean.
And the Doots are why he's called that. Not to bring down the mood, but cancer has had a huge impact on my life, and I'm sure on many of yours as well. And so to see like a bunch of nerds being gamers in a room and defying some of the more negative stereotypes of gamers being toxic or lazy, and raising $2.5 million, not only that, being the largest contributor globally to the Prevent Cancer Foundation, that like genuinely made me a bit emotional. This is my first time ever seeing an event by Games Done Quick, but it's definitely not gonna be my last. I'm gonna be talking about this in the future and hopefully donating to the next event, which is coming up in February. So if you're interested in that, check that out, early February. But it also made me want to speedrun. And I want to be clear, I am not that good at video games. I do like video games, but I'm not that good at video games. So if you want to see a filthy casual, try to become a speedrunner at something, try to set a world record, that's probably not gonna happen, but you know, try speedrunning. Let me know, because I might make a video about it. I was interested while I was watching the VOD, so yeah, something to consider. I know in these videos I'm supposed to tell you what's going on, but I have a question for you. What is going on with Ubisoft? Not rhetorical. They just delayed Assassin's Creed again. They're cutting costs aggressively. There's rumors of a 10-cent buyout, and they've hired advisors to help with, quote, strategic and capitalistic options. Let's start with the Assassin's Creed delay. I'm all for it. Honestly, maturing is knowing that a delay is always the right move. Because you know what gamers hate more than a delay? An unfinished game. Your company will be talked about for years if you release unfinished, even if it becomes finished and beloved. Cyberpunk. According to the CEO, we have made the decision to provide an extra month of development to Shadows in order to better incorporate the player feedback gathered over the past 3 months. So while I think the delay is probably a good decision for the game's sake, Ubisoft is getting in the habit of spending more money than expected by delaying games, all while they're then saying we're gonna cut the budget harshly. They said they'll undertake cost reductions and be highly selective regarding investments, expecting a €200 million reduction of its fixed cost base. Now, this isn't a new thing that they've announced, they've just reiterated to their investors, but that wasn't what was on the investors' minds. What they wanted to know about was the rumors about the Tencent buyout. The CFO said, "We won't comment on specific rumors that we've seen in the market. We will inform the market if and when a transaction materializes." And so they had no comment on that, but they did say that they appointed advisors and are actively exploring various strategic and capitalistic options to unlock the full value potential of our assets. And while any commentary on that would be speculative, I'm a speculator. And to my ears, that sounds like they're exploring the best buyout options, or exploring if buyouts are the best option. Now, I'm gonna make a bold prediction, the boldest prediction, probably. In 10 years, I think that Ubisoft will be bought out and it will be a beloved name amongst fans again. Now, why do I say this? I think the CEO has already shown that he's starting to see that they've made some mistakes, which is crazy because, like, it's been a while that Ubisoft has been getting hate, but hey, I mean, better late than never. He's starting to say things like, I want to go back to the old days and recapture what made Ubisoft successful in the first place. Now, will it happen? I don't know, but I'm an optimist, so my hope is yes. Plus, the time horizon on this guess is far enough that if I'm right, I can clip this and I'll be a genius, and if I'm wrong, no one will remember. Speaking of Ubisoft, I've been recently playing Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and goodness, it's so good. I really like it. It actually just topped Hollow Knight for me as my favorite Metroidvania. So if you play that game, let me know, because it's amazing. It's so good, and I can't believe that Ubisoft closed the studio that made it because it didn't perform well enough, even though it sold like over 1 million copies. Yeah, another example of a Ubisoft misfire, in my opinion. But that being said, my name is Terrence. I'm going to keep playing games till I find the perfect one. Peace, love,